This is TWiT.
This is the last time we're ever talking about TikTok.
I agree.
So, let's hope.
I don't care. I
Let's
don't care
hope,
what
everyone.
happens after this. I'm not writing about it again.
But then, weirdly, Oracle says, yeah, not that they won the bid, but we are now the technology partner, along with Walmart. So I think what happened is TikTok said, look, we're not going to sell. That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
Yep.
We'll spin off a U.S. division. We'll have U.S. companies as our technology partners. Obviously, Oracle stored the data, right? So that you don't have to worry that the Chinese government will get the data. And everybody be happy. Now they just have to convince the president.
What was when was the deadline? Wasn't it the 15th?
Well, even President Trump couldn't. He said 2 dates.
He did.
15th and the 20th.
I know.
They made it by the 15th. So I think, just in case.
Yep.
Okay.
But we have, we have no idea. Honestly, I think the president's moved on. I don't think he's even thinking about it anymore.
I know. Yep.
So I don't know what's going to happen.
Let's talk about the Microsoft angle here, because Mary Jo and I both very negative about this. Don't want Microsoft to acquire TikTok for all kinds of reasons.
You're happy.
I'm happy, but I will say
I did a TikTok dance Sunday night at 7:30. This was me in my living room.
I did a little Tebow thing down in the corner, but so not as demonstrative. I think about this though, and it's like my whole thing was like, do you really want to ally yourself with a presidential administration that's going to try to strip away a part of a company from a Chinese company, like that? This would be kind of a stain on your reputation, right? But, I guess the other way of looking at it, and I don't mean to make this sound patriotic or anything, but I mean, given the situation, which was not of Microsoft's making, right? Like they could, and not done in a charitable sense completely, because obviously they would benefit from it by having the algorithm and having the company come to Azure and so forth. Microsoft is one of the few companies that everyone basically should trust with this kind of technology. They're taking on a terrible responsibility if they buy this company. Terrible ongoing responsibility. A year of work or more just to get everything transferred over. I mean, in some ways, like it's almost like they were. I don't mean it like it was philanthropical or anything, but I mean they were almost like taking one for the country, in a way. I know they're a company and that's not really what was happening, but I mean, I'm trying to understand like what the point of this was, but I don't know. I suppose there's different ways to look at it.
I know. Yeah. And you know what, if you look at the statement, Microsoft put out this really brief statement Sunday night, and they basically said, we intended to do a lot of things to this service if we bought it. We're going to change the security, the privacy, the online safety, we're going to start combating disinformation, all these things. And you're like, wow, okay. So like they're not just going to like host the data, right?
That's what I based what I just said on. I mean, what they said that night, I was like, that's interesting. Yeah. Like, again, they weren't doing it for the good of mankind or anything, but it would have benefited a lot of different parties, and it would have solved this national security concerns that the government has. Microsoft has been a good steward of technologies, or I should say of companies that they've kind of operated as separate entities. Minecraft is like that. GitHub, obviously. LinkedIn is like that. I mean, whether those things have been but I don't mean that they've been successful for Microsoft necessarily. They've been a good steward of these sort of pseudo-independent companies.
Yeah. So, to me, the most interesting thing out of this whole debacle at the end was, so what Oracle's going to do is not what the Trump administration asked for, right? They're not going to do that at all, right? They're going to host the data in the U.S., but they didn't say anything about like taking over the company, the app. Like they're just going to basically let the app run as it is. They're not going to take control of the algorithm, we don't think, because it sounds like ByteDance isn't giving them the algorithm, right? So all they're doing is hosting the data, which is allegedly all that Microsoft was wanting to do at the beginning when they started the talks with ByteDance, right? So I'm like, okay, so we've come full circle, and the only difference is Oracle is going to be the hoster instead of Microsoft. And so Oracle, they're trying to build up their portfolio of marquee companies to prove they have a cloud, because most analysts don't think they even figure in the cloud scene at all, right? So they undercut everybody's price to get Zoom.
That's not fair.
And I'm
They're
sure
the
they're doing this
IBM of
too,
cloud computing. Right? What do you mean?
That's a very good analogy. Exactly. You know? There are 3 companies that matter in the cloud.
Yeah.
And Oracle and IBM
and
are usually
IBM
on that list. Right. So, sure. Yeah, I think, so many people were tweeting Sunday night, dodged a bullet. I saw Matt Rosoff at CNBC said, this is Microsoft's luckiest miss since Yahoo. And I'm like, yep, that's how I feel about this too.
Exactly. Remember, did anybody want to pay like $42 billion for Yahoo or something crazy thing? Yep. And that's not $42 billion in today's dollars. I mean, this is like, back when 42 million meant something, but it was a lot more money back then.
I know. But I'm sure, I mean, okay, I can't say I'm sure, but my guess is as the talk started progressing and Microsoft suddenly was facing the idea of you're going to become the owner of TikTok, they had to start thinking about, okay, where can this fit in our portfolio? What are the synergies with Xbox? What are the synergies with Teams? And they started thinking about it and planning for it and then kind of justifying to themselves, like, this is going to be a good fit. Like, this is going to give us a leg up in consumer. We need this, right? And then suddenly it was like, oh, wait, that's not.
Well, no, I actually don't think they ever had that, wait, that doesn't make sense moment. I think literally the thing that Microsoft wanted to do with it, ByteDance was like, no, you can't have all of it.
Yeah,
you can't have the. Think so. Right. I think Microsoft was full steam ahead.
Yeah. Yep.
And whether it was China or ByteDance or whatever, but on that side, they basically said, no, we can partner on some of the U.S. stuff, but we're not going to sell any of the company. And Microsoft wanted basically what is all of TikTok, right? Because TikTok does not operate in China. So it's kind of like all of the non-China assets of TikTok that's TikTok.
Yep.
Yep. So I think Microsoft got in. I don't think anyone ever put the brakes on at Microsoft. I think they were told no.
Yeah, me too.
They wanted too much, I do too. Basically, Yeah.
I agree. No, that was my point. Like they had decided like, okay, we're doing this and like, let's justify it internally and make a case for it. And then when the algorithm wasn't going to come, like Sunday, we saw a story from South China Morning Post. ByteDance isn't giving out the algorithm. So I'm like, I wonder if Microsoft still wants this without the algorithm.
Oh, the algorithm is something like line 10, go to line 20.
It might be.
Might be a little more complex.
ByteDance does AI. But when we had Matt Cutts on, who was an early Googler, he's now administrator of the U.S. Digital Service. He said it can't be that complicated. You look at what people want to see, what they're watching, and you boost it. Period.
I feel like many online services do exactly that already. I mean, even Microsoft probably kind of does that with, personalization on MSN or whatever. I mean, that was kind of my joke. That was the point of my joke. I don't think it's particularly special. Does anyone look at TikTok and think, oh my God, this thing's reading my mind? Like this is exactly what I want to see.
Well, it does a good job. Look, there's 2 things. One part of the secret sauce, well, nobody's going to get it because they're not really being sold. We should point this out. This is just a deal to say to Oracle, so Oracle can say to Trump, look, we got it. We got this. Trump can save face and walk away from it and maybe pocket a little money in the Treasury. But really what they're saying is we're going to run the database, so China doesn't have access to it. But if somebody were to buy it, the algorithm, I don't think, is the only thing that makes TikTok unique. It's the UI. It's the interface. It's the thing that makes people want to put videos on it. Makes it easy to create videos. That's the magic sauce. Because any algorithm, look, all you got to do is YouTube does this. If I can get 1 million people to give me content free, and all I have to do is run an algorithm on it, watch what people look at, and boost that, profit.
Kind of like Apple, if I could get 1 million developers to give me apps for free, I'll throw them away. Something.
Yeah, but Apple had it's not easy to develop, as you know, Paul. I don't know if you've tried to write an Apple app, but it's not easy.
Yes, I have. It's true. I've often joked, and not joking, that the biggest success of Apple was convincing developers to use back in the day Objective-C and Xcode to write applications like that to that volume is astonishing.
It's astonishing.
It's a horrible environment.
So really, Apple succeeds only because they made such a successful platform. Nobody wants to write for iOS. Nobody wants to write for Android. Frankly, developing for mobile is a pain in the ass.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
And honestly, maybe that is something people should think about.
Yeah.
If it were as easy to make content for an iPhone as it is to make videos for TikTok, you'd be in really good shape.
Remember back in the day, they used to have like game creator toolboxes or toolkits and stuff, and there were all these things, for that kind of stuff. Yeah. I think
maybe you wouldn't be in really good shape though, right? Because maybe part of the allure to you as a developer is it's hard to do, and if you do it right, you can cash in, and if it's easy for everyone, then you have lots of apps. But
billions of apps later, that kind of dried up,
Yeah.
I was thinking when Leo was talking earlier about, the algorithm and TikTok kind of understanding what people want to watch. I was just reminded, I kind of do this now without thinking, but if I go to YouTube, YouTube now is like heavily tailored to videos I've already watched. So depending on what I've been watching lately, I'll see lots of car reviews and tech reviews and video game things and blah, blah, blah. I went through a basketball phase and I got basketball. It's kind of dumb when you think about it. And that kind of behavior has actually caused me not to click on videos because I don't want videos like this in my,
right.
Because God forbid,
so like a bad algorithm.
Yeah. So like Amazon's like this when you buy stuff. YouTube is like this. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the things are like this.
A lot of recommendation
engines
are bad. Yeah.
Yeah. You make the mistake of clicking on something and now you're doomed.
Yeah.
So the only measure of a good recommendation engine is does it drive more engagement? Do people spend more time? In radio, we call it time spent listening. You measure how long they listen without changing the channel. Does time spent listening or time spent watching go up? And I would argue Facebook does that very, very, very well, right? They are very sticky. Their engagement is very high.
Right.
I think you might be right. I don't know. I think YouTube might be doing a good job. Maybe not for you, but I think they certainly are increasing engagement, aren't they? Whereas
I will
TikTok
say
is the king.
Yeah, there's one YouTube channel that comes out with a new show every Friday. And every Friday I open YouTube and it's right there in the top left, like every time. And I watch it every week. And like that is the one thing they do that is 100% exactly right. But yeah, I just, I'll watch I like old 70s talk shows and things like that. So it's like The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He's interviewing some 70s guy. They're excellent. But then because I watch that, it's like, well, here's a Jimmy Kimmel talk show. He's talking about Kardashian or something. It's like, this is not the same thing. Like it's such a dumb.
It's not well done then, right?
Yeah. I don't think so.
So that's the difference between a recommendation engine, which is trying to suss what you like, and TikTok. They don't care what you like. They surface videos. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know the algorithm, but
it might be. Yeah, there must be a combination of what's popular out in the world.
Yeah. If a lot of people liked that video, thumbs up that video, spent time watching that video, they're going to promote it.
So another thing that happens to me, I bring up all these new computers, and so I'll open a laptop I'm reviewing, and I go to YouTube, and I have this brief moment where you can see like maybe 12 videos on screen, like the thumbnails, and I'm like, what is this crap? Oh, I haven't signed in yet. and
you really know the difference, don't you?
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can really see. Very different. I'm like, what is this? It's like little animal videos, and like, what is this? And that's.
But TikTok, before you sign in, the onboarding is very successful. That's why they've done so well, because it goes, oh, this is good. Oh, you don't even have to sign in to enjoy TikTok. Now, maybe that works because TikTok is a more homogeneous environment, a more homogeneous audience. YouTube's all over the place. Oh, yeah. YouTube's all over the place. But TikTok's teenage girls.
Oh, I see.
No, there's more, though, than that.
Well, it is certainly.
But I should probably close my account then.
Yeah, stop using it. The TikTok and Pinterest are not for you, Paul. Just
Thank you for bringing that.
I don't know. It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
But TikTok.
The funniest tweets, though, after the Oracle thing came out on Sunday, you saw all these teenagers tweeting, "What is Oracle?"